Hi everyone, my name is Jillian Zudell and this is my discussion post for week 7 dealing with software. I would like to start with a discussion about operating system preferences, specifically between Microsoft Office and OS X, mostly because those are two of the most popular operating systems and also the two that I am most familiar with. So about 2 years ago, I started the switch to all OS X or iOS products. At first, I struggled with the OS X software, but now I prefer it to Microsoft Windows. My preference isn't strong, however, because I can see both as being fairly user friendly, even though they are slightly different. I think more recent versions of OS X, at least the ones that I have used, are really more visually accessible than Microsoft Office. The icons that you find in OS X are kind of intuitively designed, and so you might not have to know how to read to be able to access some of the programs. And then perhaps some of the biggest hangups, at least that I've seen in myself and with some of my acquaintances, is in the way that each operating system is manipulated. For example, the reverse scrolling, either pushing up or pulling down to scroll on a page, or having to use two fingers on the touchpad, is something that's very different, and so it makes people uneasy with the machine that's different from what they're used to. And to be fair, that might be the device itself rather than the operating system, but at least in my mind, and I know in people that I've seen use Macs that are unfamiliar with them, that is one of the big drawbacks to the machines, and something that kind of it makes them hesitant to use something different. And so even I still sometimes mix up my commands when I'm switching between Mac and PC, either on my home devices or at work. So it's just, I don't know, something to think about. And I guess my questions are, do you have a preference either between Microsoft Office and OS X, or with another operating system? And if you do use a different operating system, what is it and what do you like most about it? Sort of related to that topic is the concept of virtual machines. And in the lecture, Professor Bowman said that even that it has practical purposes for IT professionals, and so you're able to test your programs or your codes on different machines to see what it would look like, and that's great. But I think that it also can relate to operating system preference as well. The concept of virtual machine was familiar to me before this lecture, even though I didn't know the name for it. When I made the switch to a Mac laptop about 2 years ago, I considered getting the Windows operating system because that's what I was used to using, and I was afraid that if I made the switch, that I wouldn't be able to use this new device that that I needed to work on my schoolwork, and then take into my professional life. And so, going back to the discussion over OS preference, I was afraid of those differences, and I was hesitant to make the change. I decided, however, that if I used Windows as my operating system, then that would defeat the purpose of switching to a Mac product, particularly in the cost comparisons. As if I was going to use Windows anyway, what was the point of having this different machine? Ultimately, I'm glad that I did decide to use the OS X software and kind of keep it a little bit more to the way the machine was intended. Although I do use Microsoft Office Suite, so maybe I still made the same mistake. So moving on, I would like to talk about software programs used in libraries, archives, and museums. I know that's my chosen field, and so I tend to focus on that in discussions and things like that. I hope that it at least applies to you somewhat. And And so I just want to talk about my experience a little bit with some of the major programs that I have used, software programs that I've used so far in my work. And so to begin with, I was an intern at the Illinois Regional Archives Depository, which was housed at Western Illinois University in the Archives and Special Collections. We were technically a different department, but we were in the same room. We used the same storage space. The archives staff really helped me a lot since my supervisors were off-site. And so primarily we used just Office Suite software to conduct our business. Our descriptive inventories and different indexes were kept in spreadsheets or Word documents, templated Word documents, things like that. Our patron requests and answer request letters were also made in like a word processing software, and so it was very basic. Even the archives and special collections only use spreadsheet software to create their databases for their collection and maintain their collection metadata. Also, while I was at school, I was a graduate assistant at the Western Illinois University Art Gallery and an intern at the Western Illinois Museum, which was not associated with the university, but there were some close connections. And so we utilized a software program called Past Perfect, which is a software database, in addition to Office Suite software to create various like presentations or letters and responses, things like that. So Past Perfect allowed us to keep track of the collection by organizing and displaying the metadata related to each item. We were also able to track donor, staff, and volunteer information through this software. Although this function was utilized less by the art gallery, since all of that information with the staff and the donors was tracked by the university administration. Past Perfect is interesting because there are sometimes multiple ways to get to the same end product. For example, during my internship at the museum, I was running a report on a specific box list with the director looking over my shoulder, and the path I followed to get that report was not the same that she would use, and she had never seen it done that way. The software also has so many functions that I was actually able to learn a few tasks that the director had not known about after working with it for several years. And so it's sort of a software program that can be used in as simple a way as fits your institution's needs or as detailed as fits your institution needs. In my current job as an assistant youth services librarian at a public library in the greater Cleveland, Ohio area, we utilize a program called Circe Dinnick's Symphony, or it's also called Workflows. We have the desktop client, which provides access to the library catalog for not only our own library, but also all of the libraries in the greater Cleveland area. It also tracks patron information, and it's what circulation uses to check in and out books or movies or different elements that are able to circulate. I'm becoming more and more comfortable navigating the program in order to find information, but I definitely feel that at times it's not very user-friendly. Tasks are hidden, or you have to switch between this tab and like pull up a username and then go to a different tab and kind of plug it back in. Or if you're looking for a certain item, you kind of have to switch between screens almost and re-enter the same information. It's also possible, I just don't know how to use it yet. So these are just some of the basic collection management software programs that I've personally used in a library setting. So everything from super basic spreadsheet all the way to this workflows program that serves the entire region of my state. I'm curious to hear about other software programs that people have used or know about within the library sector of the information profession. I definitely would like to know more so I can familiarize myself um, with them as I grow into a professional librarian or archivist. Um, and then to close, um, I would like to kind of propose a prescriptive discussion about the delivery of software. So I remember when my family had our first computer, and even when I began my undergraduate program, that access to software usually came via a hard copy on a CD, which probably came with an access code. Now you may still purchase a physical code at a store, but the software is usually found online, and sometimes it's just entirely online. So, do you think this mode of delivery will remain the norm, or will there be some new delivery process? My best guess would be a shift to more programs that are entirely web based, sort of like Google Docs, where everything is just online and collaborative. And so that's it. I hope you have a good week and good luck on the midterm. Thanks. Bye.